Well, today I'm going to work on this piece of crap GT18 18 horse opposed twin side shaft variant that I got off of Craigslist a while back. I'm going to clean this carburetor on it, see if I can get it to run, maybe drive it around, be a little stupid with it. Steering on it's a piece of crap, but hey, could be fun and amusing. Okay, first thing you want to do, obviously, is remove the wing nut. Set that off the side. Remove the air cleaner cover. Surprisingly enough, the air filter in this thing looks pretty new, unlike the rest of it. There's these two bolts right here. On most of these, it's going to be a 5/16 size socket. Make sure you don't drop the bolts down the carburetor. Next thing you want to do is actually pull the bottom of the air cleaner off. There's a rubber hose here, and on this one it actually has another rubber hose. On the vertical shaft, it just has the one. Best thing to do is try to pinch it and just kind of pull on it a little bit. Pops loose. Same thing for the other one. The smaller one's always easier. I find that you just push it through. Set that out of the way. Now, the carburetor on this is just like the one on the vertical shaft. It's the same carburetor, you know, and for the most part, it's the same setup. It's just turned. You have your fuel diaphragm or fuel pump here. Most of the time, you don't have to clean these. If you've been running E85 or something like that in it, yeah, you'll probably have to clean it. Usually what I do with these, I just take the 4 bolts off, take the top of the carburetor off, clean out the fuel bowl, clean the float, needle seat, put it back on. It's usually all it needs. For most of these, you could just use either a flat blade screwdriver or your 5/16. On the newer models, they're Phillips head screws, and sometimes they're Torx. I don't like the Phillips head and Torx head ones. I like the old ones that have a bolt. Now I could tell right off the bat that the previous owner has been in it before at one time because it's already loose. Usually they're a little stuck and you have to tap on the side of the top of the carburetor with, you know, like a screwdriver handle or it'll pop loose. But this one's already pretty loose. What I normally do is I just kind of fold it up out of the way and then gently pull it loose. Surprisingly, this is really clean. So it looks like it's been worked on before. This gasket looks pretty new. Or, yeah, it looks really new actually. Someone worked on it. Now, there is all this rusty crud down here, and that's actually not good because it'll pick it right up and just clog your jets. But for the most part, this carburetor's in pretty good shape. Pretty clean. Probably the last time it was ran, unless it was worked on, was probably before they started putting ethanol in the gas. I've had a couple of tractors and they had been sitting for 15-20 years and the carburetors look about like this. So it was probably before the ethanol gas. So that's a good thing. All you really got to do is, I always fill the bowl up with carb cleaner, let it sit for a few seconds, or maybe a minute or so, depending on how bad it is. And then I'll remove this little drain bolt on the side and then just spray it again, and it'll wash everything out. And you can just put it all back together. Simple as that. I always use Barrowman's B12 Chem Tool. I avoid the Parts Store brand stuff because it's usually pretty watered down and weak. B12 Chem Tool, good stuff. Also makes a good flamethrower. So I'm just going to spray it out. Taking care not to spray too hard, because this stuff will splash back out into my eyes. I would normally recommend safety goggles, but that's not me. You can go ahead and spray off the rest of the carburetor too while you're at it. Spray out all the little ports. Spray out the inside some. Now that will flood it when I go to try to start it, so. You see it's turned to this nice brown viscous liquid. I'm also going to go ahead and just spray this off just to get the powder and everything off of it, you know. And then just set the top of the carburetor off to the side, you know, to dry. Now after a little while has gone by, you take, I always just use a crescent wrench. It's just, I find it easier instead of trying to find the right size socket. Sometimes they are stuck. There, it's loose now. Some of these carburetors don't have this, I've noticed. Now just take the carb cleaner and just try to spray it to where everything goes out the drain. I'm not trying to make this one perfect anyway. It's not the cleanest, but it'll do. Go ahead and reattach your carburetor. Install all your screws. Not that one. I grabbed the wrong one. That's my fault. You do gotta make sure you grab the right screws. Get it nice and snug. Just don't crank down on it. This is aluminum. And make sure you don't tighten them all down real tight right off the beginning. Try to do it to where it's evenly distributed amongst the top. Should be good enough. Now, unfortunately, the choke on this tractor is stuck. So, normally, I would be able to move this. However, it's stuck. Make sure to put the drain back in, too. Decently snug there. Everything else is in the reverse order, just pinch it, stick it through the bottom. If you have a pick set, it kind of helps a little bit. This larger one is much tougher. The good thing is I have a reference point which way this goes due to the rust. Thanks, rust stain. And there you have it. The carburetor's been cleaned. I can put some gas to it. See what it'll do. Meow. So I went ahead and I got this other CrapsMan gas tank that I've had lying around. Stuck it up here, just wedged it in place, bypassing the tractor's main tank located at the rear. Yeah, that's what she said. Because the fuel lines are really old and I don't have a fuel filter on hand, so I'm just running a direct fuel line to the fuel pump diaphragm on the carburetor. Just gas it up and go. This tank's pretty clean, so awesome. I'm going to use the Dayton's battery to jump off the GT18. Always make sure your leads are not touching each other when jumping off anything. You don't want to make a welder, you know. Dayton's hooked up. Make sure I got a good ground. Make sure I'm holding the positive side of the battery jumper cable. Going directly to the starter. Come on. Yeah! Come on, you can do it. Come on. It's gonna take a minute. Just gotta get that gas a-pumping. You need to prime it. Gotta prime it. Come on. Stop! Barely runs. Come on, throttle up. This thing sucks. I'm glad I'm stripping it down and selling all the parts, but hey, the motor runs, the transmission works, the steering's absolute horse crap. There you have it. Shit piece. Big ugly. 1985 CrapsMan GT18. Biggest piece of crap I've ever bought off Craigslist for $75. Yeah, slow and stupid!